Hey, it's DecepySwag, and today we're going to have a talk about the King of Fighters series, specifically the games and where the franchise fits within SNK's plans going forward post City of the Wolves. And I want to say that first, I enjoy the KOF series, okay? It's one of my favorite fighting game franchises ever and truly helped me become a better player. The lore is dope along with many different characters and their designs, not to mention a gigantic catalog of music that frankly no other gaming company, at least fighting wise, hold a candle to. This series has had a legendary impact on the history of gaming, even inspiring Sakurai to make Smash Brothers. And as much as I love this series, there's folks that enjoy it just as much as I do, if not probably more. Which is why, after saying all that, it kills me seeing KOF the way it is, and the best possible solution is a simple but tough one. And that solution is for KOF to go away, at least on hiatus, for a couple years. But before we get into that, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to tap the bell icon. Let's get to it. Alright, so before we get into the solution, we need to first address the problem, and there are several problems. The first being that we have been overexposed to the King of Fighters IP, at least games-wise. Let me explain. Since 1994, and no, I am not doing the rap, do not do the rap, we have been getting King of Fighters games. Now, in the early days, we were getting them yearly, but as time went on, that would change to every couple years, which at the time was fine. We had other fighters from SNK also. We had Fatal Fury, Samurai Showdown, Last Blade, which by the way, SNK please bring back Last Blade, and also Art of Fighting and a ton of other games. But after a while, it became just KOF. Fast forward to 14 and then 15, and we've only had two other fighters besides KOF. That being Samurai Showdown 2019 and SNK Heroines. Couple that with how SNK has handled the KOF IP and not putting any effort into attracting the rest of the world besides Asia, it's negatively impacted the game's image even more. It's already got the stigma of being this super impossible game to play, which isn't true. Having to learn 3 characters, which people find hard to do, but hey, what do I know? Apparently learning 3 characters is impossible. Can't imagine a game where folks are doing that. Anyway, and of course, the graphics and gameplay haven't wowed folks as much since KOF 13. KOF along the way has become the fighting game of SNK, but not because SNK necessarily wanted it to, but because they needed it to be. It was truly the only thing that they could faithfully bank on to succeed. So in turn, it caused folks to only be familiar with SNK through King of Fighters and vice versa. See, when I say Capcom fighting games, what do you think of first? Street Fighter, Marvel's Capcom series, Rival Schools aka Project Justice, Vampire Savior aka Darkstalkers. Some fandoms obviously bigger than others, and only a few of those titles have been getting a steady stream of games, but the point is, they're all fighters you instantly think of when you think Capcom. It's not difficult for someone to point to a Capcom fighting game besides Street Fighter. Now, let's do the reverse. Now, if I asked someone that wasn't versed in SNK fighters to name me a fighter that wasn't KOF, they probably only named Samurai Showdown and Fatal Fury. And even then, I'd say Fatal Fury because of City of the Wolves. Before, you might have been lucky if they said Garo. The novelty of KOF in my eyes has worn off. The big crossover of its games no longer feels special. Remember that this franchise is what inspired Smash Brothers. It's what even Sakurai praises and fangirls over, how Iori's design and his words must have been made by a genius. This franchise gave us amazing characters like Kyo Kusanagi, K-Dash, Ash Crimson, Iori Yagami, Bison, Mature, Dolores, Shenwu, Shunei, and many more. But again, it's been the SNK fighter for far too long. The synapses in our brains are worn out from the KOF feed and needs time to recharge. And I got the perfect solution to make KOF the premier fighting game it should be. So we've identified the problem: overexposure, lack of marketing to major markets like the Western fan base, underwhelming graphics and gameplay. Now, what about the solution? Like I said in the beginning of the video, SNK needs to put the King of Fighters on the shelf. No more games for the next 5 to 6 years. I know this might sound insane, but take a moment and just consider what that means for other SNK fighters. Remember, we have City of the Wolves coming in April. That's going to have a long lifespan if things go well, and I can bet SNK plans on doing it big for that game. Fatal Fury is going to return as the premier fighting game for SNK. Then we have the Samsho IP. While we do know about the action RPG coming, In those 5 years, that game more than likely will have come out, possibly introduced new characters and stuff. Then, when the next Samsho fighter rolls around, those characters that get introduced in the action RPG, they get rolled into the new fighter. And we can't forget about Art of Fighting 4, which, in regards to that one, I'm not gonna lie, we really don't know too much about anything about that. However, in 5 to 6 years, I assume we'll at least get a release date, or maybe it already came out, or it's something along those lines. But we'll know more than what we know right now. So that'll be 3 fighters, 3 flagship titles released by SNK that will have the support of the company through content, tournaments, and none of them will be a KOF game. See, back during Summer Games Fest, Oda had an interview with Roofmonger, and when asked about a KOF 16, he talked about how important Fatal Fury, Art of Fighting, and Samsho were to building the blocks for the KOF series as a whole. They were the foundation. He emphasized how those 3 games will get time to grow and for them to expand on what they already revealed in the future. So once 16 rolls around, there will already be a strong foundation between the 3 games rather than just throwing another KOF out there based off nothing really. The best part in all this is while KOF is away, this gives them time to let the game cook in the developer oven. See, at this point and moment in time, SNK has done a complete 180 with their marketing, and we see that with Seed of the Wolves. I mean, for God's sake, they got Ronaldo, the famous football player, helping them along with the marketing. So clearly things are different. So with that, I don't have any concerns with KOF 16's marketing when that time comes around. No. The real crux for SNK comes from the graphics and gameplay. Now, for the gameplay, I'm personally of the mindset that SNK should give the KOF 11 formula another shot. For those that don't know, KOF 11 functioned as close to a tag fighter as you could get. It was still 3v3, but there was no rounds, and you could switch characters mid-combo among other things. I genuinely feel like this system would finally end the complaints people have of not being able to tag in their characters and feeling that drag of learning 3 characters. Plus, it's fast-paced, flashy, and frankly it looks dope. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think of a KOF style game as far as 11. I know some people like 99 and the other KOF games that I think it was K-Dashes where they had the striker system. But really anything besides what we've been doing would be a nice change of pace. So we got gameplay out the way, and generally for the most part, SNK tends to knock it out the park when it comes to that category, so I'm not too worried about that. However, what I do tend to worry about is their biggest issue for people, and in the modern era it kind of shown before Fatal Fury and even before Samsho, and that's the graphics. Excluding the new Fatal Fury game and, as I said, Samsho 2019, modern SNK fighters have struggled to blow people's minds with its graphics and art style. If you've been around long enough, you'll know that when it comes to visually stunning games for SNK, the gold standard, the holy grail for KOF is the King of Fighters 13. And as much as I can't stand people constantly dismissing games if it's not sprite based, I do understand why they're so obsessed. Just look at this game. The game is beautiful and just genuinely a marvel to look at, and know that all of these characters are sprites, which is what damn near killed the company, but that's neither here nor there. Keep in mind, SNK more than likely will never return to doing something like this again. Just takes way too long, too much money and time. But there's a but. I have a proposal that'll make everyone happy. And the answer isn't coming from my neighbors at Capcom, but one house over. If you looked at ArcSys games, you would probably be forced in thinking these characters are 2D, but they're not. They're actually 3D, but the way they were designed is to emulate that 2D visual. See, some nights ago on Discord, me and the homie CodedProphecy, which by the way, check him out, he's another content creator in the SNK space as well as Bleach, so big ups to him. We were talking about KOF 16, and he came up with the idea of what if SNK emulates that look of 13 for 16? Just imagine when KOF finally returns, it's Evo, SNK is doing their segment, and right before they leave, they say, we have one more thing to show you. And it's a teaser, a small glimpse of KOF 16, and it looks visually like 13 or even better possibly. Fans will go crazy, and the best part is, it will be easier on the devs to make new characters instead of spending so much time making them pixel based. It's the reason why, as great as 13 is, the roster was on the smaller side. All of the complaints about lack of art style and aesthetic and graphics would instantly be shot down. This would give SNK room to really flex their creative muscles. I mean, we already see that in Seal of the Wolves how amazing that looked, so imagine years from now what a KOF 16 could look like. I know I've said a lot and I went over some things, but the main thing I want to tackle and really bring home is that SNK is finally in a position to prosper and grow without having to heavily rely on the King of Fighters, which I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm saying that they're able to give attention to other titles in their large catalog of games and not feel locked into the KOF vortex. Look, KOF has done its job. It held SNK down during the dark times, the early 2000s into the 2010s and 2020s. But now we're entering a new era of SNK gaming where we are no longer relying on KOF. It deserves as much a break as ever before. It needs a break. Let it go away for some time so people can actually miss it. So when it does return, it can be the spectacle it was always meant to be. But hey, as always, we reached that part of the video where I ask, what are your thoughts? Do you agree with my hiatus idea for KOF? Do you think we don't need KOF anymore? Or maybe you think KOF should always be the flagship game? Comment down below and let me know your thoughts, and I'll try to respond. Till next time, I'm DecepySwag. Later.